actually. Is that the same thing I printed out today?
I think it is. Yeah, he said everything was the same except the
No, but
cruiser.
I don't know why Oh, except the cruiser. He said he added the cruiser. So it's not the same thing.
You just check and make sure.
You are doing Zoom.
Yep, we just got it hooked up today, so we're all Zoom now. So if anybody ever can't make the meeting and needs to be home, it will always be on Zoom. And plus we have it so if you're home, your audio will come through the speakers above us so we can clearly hear you. And you'll be able to see the participants on the screens.
And I asked that everybody turn their mics on because they can't hear unless we turn the mics on. I mean, there's nobody now, but we're recording this. So this will be available for somebody to view after the fact. So we need to
I
make sure
don't even know how to turn that on.
This one's on, the green light's on. You gotta push the button until the green light comes
The ring light's on. All right, it's 7:01, calling the meeting of the Town of Arundel Budget Board and joint meeting with Board of Selectmen. Wow. It's been a long week already. So here we are, Wednesday, February 17th. Did the call to order approval of the agenda? Motion made and seconded to the approval of the agenda. All those in favor? No opposed? Okay, moving on. Approval of the minutes from February 3rd, 2021. Motion made and seconded to approve the minutes as presented. All those in favor? All opposed? One abstention because you weren't here, Michelle. All right, so we'll jump right on in, starting with the fire department accounts. I'll hand it over to the chief.
Where do you want to start?
Well, let me just make a quick preface. I mean, obviously, you have to look at the three budgets that we have here. Two of the budgets, most of the adjustments in those budgets are based on any salary compensations that we have. Again, the 3% adjustments in those, and I carried that 3% all the way across, even into our per diems. So the per diem cost has been factored as well. And so you'll see that in here. Here's the first question I got.
Go ahead. Is there a mistake on the full-time salary? Because last year's budget was 55, 478, and this year's 54.
No, there's no mistake. What occurred last year is that we had to budget for 53 weeks of pay. This year we only budget for 52. That's why you see the
Extra
difference
week.
here. So primarily, those are there. So if you have any general questions on the budgets as a whole, obviously the chief can answer them, tell you a little bit about what he's doing in terms of personnel and whatever else questions you may have there. Then obviously, he's given he wanted to talk a little bit about the capital projects that he has going forward within his budget too. So I'll leave it up to him to answer questions.
Any questions on payroll, the per diem payroll?
Which one we talking about?
Per diem would be 1304.
really, this was just an increase of 3%. right?
3% plus whatever increase we had in workers' comp, obviously.
Yeah, we're still competing with other towns, so it's, it's a never-ending battle. But I think we're doing pretty good where we're at right now. Unfortunately, I can't see what other towns are gonna change this year. Obviously, everyone's asking for a raise, so I don't know what the other towns are gonna go to. But this isn't bad.
Yeah, so we're up. A little bit more than $10,000.
Yes, a little over 10,000.
I'll make the motion that we tentatively approve this. At $338,845.
You're just doing everything for.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the one I had open first.
That's fine. We need a second on it?
I'll second it.
Okay, we got a motion made and seconded. Anyone have any discussion?
I have a question. It says the collection may change as a result of the new formula. We have a new formula for collection.
We have a new company, we've had it for over years now. And, the chief can talk a little bit about their collection rate compared to our past collection. I think that we may not see the changes that we anticipate because of COVID, but we'll have to wait and see.
I can't remember for the number. I think we had, the collections we had with the previous company was around 120,000. When we changed over, we jumped. I think it was closer to a 200,000 collection. So it was a huge difference. So his estimate at 137,000 is, pretty generous, given the gap that we had. But, with COVID and everything, we just don't know where we are.
Thank you.
Chief, do you have an updated, the sheet here, because you got all the accounts?
Yeah, as soon as you pass a budget, then I put the tentative number in it.
Okay.
So the new number isn't there until, like tonight, if you pass 1304, obviously I'll add it in and send it to you.
All right, so since we have a motion made and seconded for the approval of the budget for 338,845 on 1304 firefighter EMT per diem. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? And one abstention. Motion passes for tentative approval.
Whatever one you want to take next,
1303.
take 1303, which would be the call for volunteers.
Okay.
Again, if you remember last
Do the
year,
payroll first, the most expensive one.
remember last year you made a change to that. We generally put it as a certain amount of money for each position. And last year you indicated that you wanted to use whatever, if we had a person that was working for us per diem, say as a paramedic per diem, and they also were a call person for us, they would get paid the same amount of money they would if they were paramedic per diem. So what we did here is we blended the rate again and added the appropriate hours for the call folks, and that's how we made the change.
So it makes it so they have one single rate. Before, we used to have a rate of $13.25 for the call force, and that's what they got paid. So if I had a paramedic on duty who was making almost $21 an hour, and he went home at 7 o'clock tonight, and then at 7:30 a fire came in, he'd come back, he'd only make $13 an hour, $13.25. So a lot of them weren't coming back because it's not even worth it for them.
Understandably.
So we made it so everybody across the board, if you're getting paid $20.94 an hour, you come back, you get $24.94 an hour. It's only, should be, if you have a rate, you should have that single rate instead of having, and it just made it easier for payroll as well. So it has been a huge help for us as far as manpower goes. We've had a lot of people come back. It has helped. Yeah.
You have a minimum amount for someone that comes back after this hit? Or is it just
I mean,
straight out?
Yeah, it's just straight. Yeah.
Any other questions? Didn't change much. I think it went up $344.
I make a motion that we approve 1303, tentatively $41,156.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor? One abstention.
Yes, I did.
The last one too?
Yeah, okay.
Check. Finally, the last one would be 1301, the regular fire department budget, operating budget.
It's pretty flat, huh?
It hasn't changed much.
Nope. The only changes we really made is that operating, we had 20,500, we went up to 21. And the rest has pretty much been the same. We went up a little bit on the vehicle maintenance. And that's it. And the salary for the full-time firefighter and myself.
I see that property insurance went down and then auto insurance went up. Were those two tied together or?
No, we get all our insurance through MMA. We provide them the data, then they send back to us what the breakdown is per department. And we just plug the numbers in. So as they get better at it, I guess they give us the numbers that we need for each one. So obviously we just plug it in. And if you can figure out how underwriters figure out what kind of insurance premiums you're paying, so that's good.
So, communication, is that just all fees?
Yep. That's our repeater fee. And I think it's, yeah, right, the phone.
Yeah. So that whole is just completely all fees, that's all that is.
Right.
Where does dispatch come in?
Dispatch is separate.
In here, in this line?
No,
Nope.
it's not in there, Simone. It'll be under one of our miscellaneous budgets, 1400 series when we get to it. We wait for the city of Biddeford provides us a number based on our projected population every year. They seem to be going up about 3% above that too every year as well. So we get the number, we'll send it over here.
I usually get it later on. They're usually late with their numbers.
What's your, so you spent 22,000 for tools and minor equipment?
Yep.
What's that all about? Same thing as last year, but what's in that?
We're in the process of replacing air packs, all our major equipment that's over 20 years old. One single air pack is $7,500. So I can't replace them all at once, so we just do a little bit at a time. There has been money, we did have money in capital, we'll go through that later. I had put a grant in, federal grant, in last June, and we got denied, found out in August. But that was the 2019 grant, so they were a year behind. So they renewed the grant, the federal grant for 2020. So we resubmitted for 2020. We fixed all the things that we thought we did wrong. So I'm waiting for the federal grant to come through for 2020. If we get awarded the grant, then that saves us that money. It's over $100,000. So that's why I'm trying not to move anything right now, because I'd hate to buy something and then get awarded the grant and go, no, crap, we just bought that. We should have waited. You know?
So is there a specific amount that they get a grant, or is it based on?
No, based on based on riding positions. So it's based on how many seats you have in the truck,
Okay,
and based on how many people you can carry. That's what they'll replace.
right. So you have a rough idea, so there's a dollar amount that you apply for?
Yep. Yeah, we got put in 3% of that, so it was like $5,000 that we'd have to match. But it was $107,000 for everything. So we're just waiting right now.
And your building maintenance, does that include the new garage doors and entrance doors that you're putting in for?
Yeah,
Okay. And we've got about 5,000 left in this current year, you know, is there anything specific that you
I can't find door openers. They're in Mexico and they won't let them cross the border.
But that's part of that.
Yeah.
Can you?
Step one, to
Can you replace the siding that fell off? That looks awful.
That's in the process.
Because I mean, we just re-sided the whole building, and we got that, and it looks awful when you drive by.
I have a phone call out to the carpenter. I'm just waiting on the response.
So to someone's point, there's still $5,000 that come this year.
Yes.
That's plans to spend that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I got the doors that we replaced not too long ago, a few years ago.
The garage doors?
No, the side doors, they're completely rotted out. So I got a call for the carpenter as well for price on doors. But we're still, still haven't heard back.
Ain't short.
just wondering,
That wasn't me, that was Rousey.
Oh, yeah, I'd rather not say. Rather not-
just wondering on the door would be something to kind of put a little,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we have that door, the one in the back that they replaced. And then the one out front, right by the bay doors. Those, they bought their interior doors. They're not made for exterior, they're not commercial. They're just rotted right out. It's terrible.
We're gonna replace the garage door with other doors, we gotta make sure we look at mitigating any.
Right.
water intrusion,
Yep,
water,
absolutely.
5 years, right?
Yep.
Put something on the top or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't think you replaced it.
No, it was someone else.
But she could hire somebody to do it. Oh, okay.
I think the only doors that were replaced were the one out back. The one in the back of the bay was replaced when they did the back, the corners. I remember that they had issues with the corners were not well sealed on the building.
Yeah.
So it caused rot.
No, they actually replaced the two side doors
I think.
and the back door.
The side doors, I knew the
Yeah.
back door, I didn't think the other door.
Yeah, and the one by the bay, they actually replaced that one because it's got different glass in it. And they bought them at Home Depot, they're interior
No, I
building.
don't think those were ever replaced. I thought it was just the back one.
No, they've been replaced. Yeah. Yep,
All
I
right,
know the whole fan area, but didn't fix that.
yeah, the fan, the road wall was rotting out, and they fixed that.
All of that had been replaced.
so just one quick thing here. So for vehicle maintenance, we had 8,000 earmarked last year, we spent 11,400.
Yep.
So where did you rob from all the reviews?
Well, we, basically that's what we did. We took tools, minor equipment, that stuff, we kind of made it work. We had several trucks when we send the trucks out to get pump tested, that eats up that $8,000. It costs about $6,000 to do the pump test on all the trucks. So any other maintenance, if I gotta put a set of tires on a truck, it's $2,000. So, battery here, so you can eat through that $8,000 very easily, especially through the pump checks. The pump checks it's something that we gotta do. It's gotta be certified.
We already figured it'd be your schedule.
Right, they are, yep. And then we gotta do, we do hose testing as well. So that comes out of vehicle maintenance, and that's about $3,000.
Should we bump that up to like
That's
12?
kind of where I'm going. We're
Well-
getting 400 in there now.
What I usually do is I'll take out of tools and minor equipment, or we just make it work. Or equipment maintenance.
Yeah, I think the only issue I would say here is that generally these budgets are passed as one budget number.
Right.
And the line items are here to try to give you all a ballpark as to where we think the money's gonna need to be spent, so we can come up with a budget. But at the end of the day, it's up to the chief or any of the department heads to stay within the bottom line of their budget and try to find. So if he goes ahead and has to put new tires on a fire engine, then we may have to stop from purchasing something else because of it.
I mean, you're still, you're 130,000 or so, actually a bit more than that. To go for the rest of the year, so.
Yeah, I got a spreadsheet, I got a running tally of the budget. So anytime I spend any money, it comes out of here. And then, so I have a running budget constantly. So, kind of gives us an idea of where we are.
All right, I'll make a motion, we approve 1301, tentatively approve 1301 for 285,690.
I'll second that.
All right. Motion made and seconded for the approval or tentative approval of 285,696 on 1301. All those in favor? One abstention. Motion passes.
Yep.
So once you go into the capital costs that you have this year, obviously.
So as far as capital goes, we still have the new acquired engine that we purchased last year. And the planning for a new ambulance in the 2024 coming years. Gears and radios, we're still working on that, and the SCBA equipment. I did a fundraiser with a local gentleman, business guy. He helped me greatly, and we raised almost $30,000 for gear. So raising that money for gear, that's what we're going to use it for. So we did manage to outfit 12 guys, 10 or 12 guys. But of course, with COVID, there's only like 2-3 people working in the shop building gear, so it's taking like a year to get the gear. But I use that money because that's what we raised the money for. So we haven't used it out of capital yet. It's still sitting there. And the future, and you didn't put the building units?
No, I haven't done anything with the other ones, but let me just comment on the 30,000, just so you clearly understand how we perceive that. The money came into the fire association, into them, and then a donation was provided to purchase the gear through the association. So that's how the gear got purchased.
Yeah.
So we didn't have to use tax dollars to purchase it.
So I know that we had put 22,490 set aside to buy gear this year. And I haven't used it because of that fundraiser. We're running again with the building maintenance. We're gonna need a roof next 2 years. And again, with the doors, door openers, and that kind of stuff. So we're looking at that kind of thing and trying to get appraisals for that. I'm gonna shop around.
What did you think the roof was gonna cost us last year? When you said 15? Somewhere around that ballpark? We'll have to put some numbers together so we know what it's going to
Yep,
be.
so,
Yeah. Just to let you know, shingles are very hard to get a hold of right now. And lumber, if you have to replace any trusses or rafters or anything like that, that's gone quite a bit
materials
too.
is ridiculous.
So,
So I'm sorry, are these gonna be in capital reserve, or is this gonna be in the regular budget?
It'll be in capital.
Capital?
Yeah, we'll have to put some money aside, but I need the numbers first, so we don't have the numbers. Right now, I'm anticipating asking for $60,000 in a capital reserve fund to cover whatever costs we have, so, and I anticipate 60 this year, 65 next year. There'll be a slight ratcheting up of the money that we ask for contributions to the capital reserve. And the other thing is that we have $57,000 a year that comes in from the utility safety TIF, and that money is geared there. So we have the 60 plus the 57, we gotta pay that 97,000 on the truck first.
Yep.
And then whatever balance we have, we try to work that balance and anticipate what our larger items moving forward will be.
We're limited on what we can use that 57,000 on.
Right,
Right.
right, we know we could use it for the truck, so that's why we earmarked it for the truck, and so that 57 will be there until that's paid for, and then, I don't know how it would work with the ambulance, I'm not sure if it can be used for that, I'll have to research the language once again to
I think it was designed for fire equipment and station renovation.
Station renovation was definitely in there, yep.
So when we come back to the capital, fund, I'd like to see a plan on.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's on 5 years down the road, where we can
Yeah, well, I mean, well, we have the SCBA equipment and the radio and the gear, that's the stuff that we've been working on because we've been so far behind on that equipment. I had guys, I got gear borrowed from Kennebunk Fort, Goodens Mills, Wells, Saco. I got gear from everywhere. So I got guys in the fire ground, I don't know who's there because look at their backs and they're from every different town but Arundel. So it'll be nice to get everybody the same gear so we know who's on scene and, everyone's in safe gear. That was a priority, unfortunately, an expensive priority. And then the engine replacement, the engine, that's come and gone. And we have a pumper tanker that we need to replace in an ambulance. And then building renovations. That's our next steps.
Can any of the gear be taken out of the tip? Because that was used towards firefighting and whatever.
There was a specific language in here for forest fire equipment, including clothing. I don't know if you could rationally say that it could be used for that, but right now, I think that 57,000 is all to that truck. Well, we've got what, 3 more years at 97,879 to pay.
Yeah, what's in the account?
There's about,
86
what did you get? What you got?
reserves.
Sorry, about 86,000 in there right now.
So we're good putting 55,000 in. You got a gut feel for how much higher than that 55 we're gonna have to go this coming year?
This year, we're gonna go to 60.
60?
Yeah. So 5,000 more. What we're requesting.
So the other thing too, Chief, just, maybe in the back of your mind, we've been talking about what we're gonna do with the old town hall. And there's been, we've had one meeting, we've had a couple other meetings.
Yep.
More than likely, because of the configuration of the property, there's not a whole lot that we can do except something for the fire station. So, I mean, I'd like to, in the back of your mind, keep that in mind and see if there's something that you can use it for.
We have.
And obviously, it's gonna take money to do that.
Yeah.
So to me, that should be in part of the plan.
Yep.
In case that goes, we don't know if it will, but in case it does.
Yep. Absolutely.
If you're getting quotes for the roof, rather than just shingles, would it be worth getting a quote on metal roof? To see, because that, those will last a lot longer, maybe some shingles, and would it be worth getting the money?
Well, I certainly don't have the expertise for that, so I look to somebody like Jason to,
I don't think that building's set up for that, really. The way that roof is pitched, I mean, that's gonna dump a ton of snow toward the parking lot. So if you do any additions on that side, it's pretty much the only way you can go.
Right.
That's gonna push a big amount of snow that way. And going the other way, it's gonna dump all that snow on top of basically what's the living quarters now. I'd be surprised if that building is engineered for that much snow. I keep hearing talk that there was money cut from the construction of that building, so I don't know if those trusses are designed for that much snow. I don't know.
Another thing is, do you want to spend that extra money if 10 years down the road, you want to make renovations to the building and spend money on a roof that you might not even be able to use?
Sorry, I couldn't hear what you were saying down here. 10 years down the line. what?
10 years down the road, we want to do renovations to the building. And you might not be able to use that roof. If the roof line changes, that roof will have to be replaced. Just a thought.
I'm no expert.
How much, it's how much we want to spend now. And
Yeah, what do metal roofs go for, Jason?
It's like,
Are they more or less than,
right now, it's like double. So whatever asphalt will be double.
so it'd be $30,000 for metal roof?
But that was before the, was asphalt, with the COVID, it made me want to think that. I mean, think of the long roof, and roof.
So it's metal though. Yeah. Everything's metal. I don't think that building is right for metal. I don't, that's a big roof on that left side. No breaks. I mean, that's gonna be a lot of snow coming off.
I'm not negating your expertise, but if you ever get a second opinion.
Oh, well, I don't need your second opinion. I wish you would. I wish you would do some number.
It sounds like you don't pick up on anyway.
By all means, if you have somebody else, call them.
I mean, I do, but I was just curious to hear about.
Reach out to them.
Yeah,
And-
but it'd be good, it'd be
Yes,
nice to
but
know.
And the other thing to think about is down the road, when do we plan on doing renovations? If we're gonna spend a ton of money on a roof, and then 5-6 years down the road, rip it all out, why did we spend all that money? So-
How bad is the roof? I mean, is that something that you were looking to get done this coming year, or are we?
Well, we started talking about it last year, and Jason said, it's starting
I thought 85 years last year, it was like that roof expected.
Yep.
And it's not really the whole thing, but if you're gonna replace that roof, you have to.
Yeah, you gotta do it all, yeah.
So this isn't something that we're looking to do this July? Well, I think easily go another 2-3 years.
Couple of years, yeah.
I think during that time period, be a good idea to get an idea of what you're gonna do with the whole thing,
Exactly.
with the
That way
former
we can
town
figure out
hall.
where we want the money to go.
Though I don't like to destroy the chief's bubble, I do look at the overall scope of when a project of that magnitude of expansion to the fire station would have to come on. And I think we really need to get further down the road in terms of paying for this building before we actually look seriously about putting an expansion or an addition onto that, fire station. That's my own opinion. Yeah, because, you know, that's just the way I look at it, a little more conservative.
Keep it, we'll get a grant for us.
Okay, he gets a grant, then maybe the gloves are off.
What's this fundraising stuff you do?
Building now, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think it can't hurt to at least, you know, now that the town hall is vacant, the old town hall is vacant, you know, to kind of look at, okay, what's going to be our game plan? What are we going to do? You know, is there something that we can do? I don't think it can't hurt to at least have some idea of what you want to do. Maybe do some little things to try and get things into that final stage, you know, maybe 5 or 6 years down the road. But I don't think it'd hurt instead of just, oh, well, let's, you know, we're not going to look at it for another 5 years, and then all of a sudden look around and it's like, oh, crap.
No, I don't think that's
But-
our position at all. And I'm not gonna speak on behalf of the board, but, you know, in the next several months, I think now that we have the Zoom up and running, we're gonna have a couple more public hearings to discuss with the townspeople what they'd like to do with the old building. I have my opinions on what should happen to the old building, but I'll keep to myself at this point. But, once we have that, then I think it's up to the board to maybe push a warrant article out to the townspeople with a decision of what they think should move forward with the building, and then have that debate, and decide what we're gonna do with it. Once that has been taken care of and we have decided, then I think that we can shift gears and then say, okay, now we either have a vacant lot and we've got the room, or we don't have a vacant lot, and what are we gonna do with the building? So, I think that we just have to have some definitive answers from the townspeople as to what we're gonna do with that building first. Just me.
Any further discussion in regards to the fire department capital reserve?
I mean, just when you get the breakdown, I think it'll be easier to look at.
Sure. I was working on it today, and then he also threw in something in, I didn't get a chance to talk to him on it today, it was a Lucas device.
Yeah.
Are you still planning on trying to explain to
We're
the,
gonna try to, we'll just on defense with the SCBA equipment, the gear and radios. If
Okay.
Since we did well with the fundraiser,
I'm sorry, we can't hear you down here.
since we did well with the fundraiser on the gear and radios, that capital money hasn't been touched. We haven't used it. So the talk was to maybe look into purchasing a Lucas device. It's I wish I'd have brought the pamphlets. It's actually, it becomes like a second person or third person on the ambulance. It's a mechanical device that does chest compressions. It's mechanical. It doesn't get tired. It just keeps going. So people get tired. We need to rotate people through, people that we don't have. So a lot of departments are purchasing this piece of equipment. I can call Biddeford, I can call Kennebunk to come in with one, but it takes that 10 minutes for them to get there, which is a lot of time when you're doing CPR. I don't know if anybody of you, if you've done CPR, it's a lot of work. So that was a thought, is purchasing that and making it available to us, you know, cardiac arrest calls.
That was a device that kind of goes over the top of the gurney, whatever.
Yeah, it's modified.
And then it just has a thing that comes down and just does the compressions.
Yep, so it's got like a plastic backing, so it goes underneath you. And then actually it's plastic, it's all plastic, and it has Velcro straps, so you can put the person's hands, and it does chest compressions. And a lot of times they'll keep it on in X-ray or CT, or that thing just keeps going. It doesn't get tired. The hospitals love it. And they've had good outcomes from it. So it's just
What's the
a
cost of one?
15,000. Yep. And that comes with all the training too. So they would come over and train everybody, make sure that everyone knows how to use it. Yep. But if you save a life with it, it's priceless.
Your intent is possibly put that as well, capital project?
Yep.
Yeah, I think once we have a little bit more definitive answer on
I've just been waiting towards the end of the budget year to maybe make that purchase.
I thought it was good to, for at least to him to express the thoughts that he was having in reference to some of the capital costs that he was anticipating. I'm good.
Glad you got that up there.
So Keith is throwing out a figure of $60,000. Do we want to do a vote for tentative approval, or we want to hold off?
I would hold on.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, over the next several years, I have it ratcheting up from 60 to 65 to 70.
Yep.
So we good to have those discussions and have that number in front of us. I'm working on it. This was John's spreadsheet, so I'll send it to you, John. Okay.
All right. Anything else in regards to fire department matters?
Replacing Reynolds.
Oh, that's right. One of the other things that, one of the things that the chief and I talked about, or he brought up to me, is that Reynold Tart is going to retire. So we anticipate that once
He's told me he's got a year left.
so, you know, we need to start thinking about the replacement of that. When do we want to hire somebody? Do we think it's the time now to look at bringing another full-time person on? So we would have two instead of one. These are all things that I think we need to start thinking about.
His position, he does quite a bit for, I mean, he's involved with a lot of, he's my counterpart, he's my sidekick. As far as when it comes to budgeting and spending money and paying bills and, you know, equipment maintenance and, you know, be on top of things, making sure that these things go out the door when they get called. So there's a lot to it. And hiring a guy off the street and putting him to work in 2 weeks, it's just not going to happen. Someone needs to get to know the job. It's going to take a while.
When you say hire off the street, is there anybody within the department now that?
That's possibly. I got some per diems that might be interested in working full time.
I mean, obviously, when you say hire off the street, they still got to be certified, they still got to be.
Right. Oh yeah. Right.
So they're not.
Yeah. No, we'd hire somebody qualified for the job. Yeah.
Ideally, it'd be nice to be able to get somebody who maybe is a per diem in a larger department that wants to have a little more stability in one location, that has experience, and bring them on board. So that would be nice.
Yeah.
But I think that transition period, he's got another year, we gotta start thinking about maybe adding, because we may have a situation there where we have two people that are employed, whether you want to or not, just for the transition and the training.
Right.
Prior to one departing, so.
So you're saying within a year he's gonna retire?
Yep. That's what he told me.
Yeah, so, I mean, it should be figured into this year's budget.
Okay.
We're gonna think of a way where's the money gonna come from?
Right.
You think the deep funds available with the decrease in pay, I mean, Reynolds what, 20 years there?
This year is 25, I think.
I mean, what would the starting position be to replace him?
I don't know. If we hire a paramedic, it might be more.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that would be the way we want to go, though. We want to hire a paramedic. It'd be nice to have, he's advanced, right?
He is, yeah.
So it'd be nice to have one at the next level, the paramedic level. That would give us, you know, the chief paramedic, and we'll give him two, so that'd be nice. All All right, we'll work on that a little bit, and see, maybe we can get a definitive answer as to the actual end date that he'll have, and then we can go from there, back into this and see. Probably we have to hire somebody for 3 or 4 months prior to his departure, I would think, to get them ready to rock and roll, so.
At least.
Okay.
You're gonna have to revisit,
We're gonna have to
1301.
revisit, yeah, 1301. Yep. I'm happy you reminded me of that.
I thought of it last minute too.
So why don't we just
Okay.
table 1301 at this point until we get more data to you relative to that?
Well, tentative, we can always come back to it.
Okay.
Yep. Sounds good.
All right. Thank you very much, Chief.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. Any other questions?
Good for now.
Any other answers?
Thank you, Chief.
All righty.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Hey, you gotta come down with us here. Can't stay over there.
We don't have any extra microphones.
I'll give him a chair.
The general budget first, what's your pleasure?
Yeah, we can start on the general operating budget, 1501 first. I'd just like looks like there's a significant increase there, but actually there isn't. And what I mean by that is, right now, it looks like it's up $68,030, but as we did last year, and we did again this year, we put in the additional employee that we haven't had on board for a while. So in that budget, as total with benefits and total cost would be $62,258. So we built that into the budget just to have that discussion again with you folks.
That bumped up the health insurance too, right?
Yeah,
Because of that?
right. But if you take the 62,258 completely out, it'd take out the health benefits and all that, because the starting salary for that person would be 41,234. See that at the bottom of my explanation sheet there. But we haven't, and Roger can go into better detail as to his frustration as it comes to hiring personnel and keeping personnel with us.
If you look at current balances, it shows us way over on the part-time, and that is because when these new employees have come on, we've started them as part-timers until they get all the training they need and when they get their permits. We were telling people before to come in, you had 6 months to get a CDL permit and license, and that is impossible on the way things have been with the state. So what we have done is tell these guys, if you're willing to come in, we'll supply the training time, and once you get your permit, you become full-time eligible for benefits and all of that. So that's the reason why part-time is so upside down. On the other side of that coin, the full-time salary is, obviously, there's still a lot left in there. One of them just did this. We're hoping another one is coming Monday for his permit test. and hopefully he will pass this time. He will become. It has been a struggle, folks. Trying to get people in that are qualified to do the job. We had 2 that started this summer. They interviewed real well. One lasted a week, one lasted about a month. So,
Because
because they were way over the head. The first one admitted it. The other one just wouldn't.
no,
He was a cook. And after 2 days of full-time working with us, and it was hot, he said, I'm in over my head, and I am gonna go try to find just a driving job someplace. Thanks for the opportunity. We've had a turnstile on the door down there for quite a while. So that's why the pay is, if you're looking at current expenses, why the part-time one is upside down. The full-time one shows like we haven't actually filled the position. Heating oil, I don't think, we had switched over to propane a couple of years ago. And I have basically wanted to increase that by $1,000 because last year, the numbers, what we show, I don't believe are correct. Shows that we actually expended 4,600 out of, yeah, out of 5,000, and I'm pretty sure that was over $6,000. So that was one of the things I was proposing, to increase $1,000 to get it in line. We still don't have a lot of history. We have heat on both sides of the building now. And after an ice storm, we don't have room to get everything inside, but the bulk of the stuff goes inside. Heat stays on both sides so that the next morning they're at least de-iced and movable. So we're spending more money on heat, but we've got a lot better facility because of it.
So are you looking to keep that at 5, or are you looking to jump that to 6?
Increase it from 5 to 6. The other thing we're constantly in struggle with is the services line, which pays for road striping, crack sealing, any tree work. This past year, I had to do quite a bit of tree work that we could not do ourselves. We had to hire a crane. Those are expensive. Guy came in and worked 2 days with us, and it was $6,500. So I would propose to increase that line. We actually spent $28,000 last year with a $25,000 budget. And I'm proposing to go up $5,000 on that to $30,000 in services. Just painting center lines alone this past year was $16,000. And if you look in a lot of towns, you see a double center line. That is the standard. We do not do that. We do one single center line because it is still not required on these secondary roads by law to do any striping. But it is a help. We do a lot more edge striping on these dark rainy nights. It helps to stay on the road. I think if you pave the road down into the ditch, up the back slope, they'd still drive off the edge of pavement, but that's a struggle in itself. So again, services are increasing every year because of painting costs. That is a Greater Portland Council of Governments bid. There's usually only 2 or 3 players in that, and they're all pretty close to being exact as far as their per foot price. And we've had the same outfit doing our roads since we've striped for over 20 years. Kennebunkport switched last year. They went to low bid. They had some new paving done, called the paint company back and said, we're ready for you to finish for us. And they said, we're finished. They didn't come back. He had to hire the previous guy that he had, the same one as we have, to go back and paint it for him, and he did it. Guess who's getting his paint finish? So they went with low bid. That's what they got. Other than that, we're proposing no other increases. All other lines from there down are the same. We have been working on that building, doing a little upgrade. We've changed an overhead door. We've got 2 left to do. We've changed 3 so far. There's 2 left to do. We propose on doing that with what we've got in budget. So the building maintenance is, that building is still sound and it's 35 years old. But I would like to point out, before you add on to any buildings, somebody ought to get together and look at all the buildings. Because 10 years ago, I asked to add 2 bays to that. And I was told after we get a new town hall, come and see us. And I had that conversation with Ray not too long ago. And he was telling me about the fact that they wanted to add on. And I said, well, the way I see it, you come first right after us. So at some point, a group should look at these buildings, plan ahead. But again, that building is in pretty good shape. There's no major surprises coming down the road. The heating's been updated. Again, doors and such as needed, so the lighting was switched over to all LED stuff. It's in pretty good shape.
Now, I'm sorry, a goal of adding on to that, Roger, correct me if I'm wrong, would be to make sure that all of our equipment would be under lock and key in a heated environment.
You're still not gonna get everything in there.
But I mean
The main-
plow equipment.
The main equipment, mostly plow gear this time of year. In the summertime, a loader stays outside and excavated. That's not a big deal.
Yeah, that was gonna be my question, is it just an addition to put something in a vehicle, or is it an addition to also, full enclosed heat,
If you added 2 bays with a heating system you get in there now, would probably be adequate. You wouldn't have to add 2.
See, right now, we're keeping one plow truck inside the salt shed, and that's not a very good environment to keep it in. So, but it's undercover. So otherwise than that, it'd be right out in the weather. So.
so that would probably could be part of the capital plan, couldn't it?
But again, somebody should look at all of these
Where the money would
things.
come from, right?
Whether you have a facilities committee or whatever, look at all of this so that you don't get any big surprises all at once with whoever's building this. And no, we're not asking for 2 more bays. Not right now.
1.5.
No. For obvious reasons, we've asked for an additional person. I am losing one of my part-timers that's been with us for 10 years. He decided he's had enough. He's the one that does he actually plows snow for us, but he also does mowing of the ball fields and stuff. So he comes in, gets the mower, loads it on a trailer, goes and mows the school, ball field, the trailheads where the town line signs used to be. And that's a hint, by the way. At some point, we need to do something with that.
Did you find another job landscaping or did you need one?
No, he's just had enough. So anyway, with the addition of this place, and if we're gonna be doing grounds work here, it's getting pretty thin as far as,
So does adding the driver, the new position, compensate for the fact that the part-time salaries have gone up? Or the part-time money's have gone up? I mean, why are we just adding more into that if it goes, it's so much more per year? Or is that gonna help?
that would probably bring the part-time salaries closer in line and not be overdrafted. Again, the overdraft in the part-time line is because we've got guys, basically full-time
No, I
guys.
get it, I just don't know why we wouldn't write it in, so you're not, like, if it's clearly like the last, if you look back since 2019, it's always been an issue.
Yep.
So I don't know why you wouldn't write it in more unless that driver that you want to hire is gonna help with that line. You see what I'm saying?
I'm not sure. Yeah,
Yeah, right,
We'll lose a part-time.
right, so I,
Yeah, we're gonna lose a part-time.
You gonna replace the part-time?
you tell me how. That's been the problem.
I'd like to find somebody that would be semi-retired, that would want to do a mowing job or something like that in summertime. Yeah.
What's the pay?
I'll write it for you.
So right now, Roger, it's your opinion that we should leave the additional full-time person that you would like to hire in the budget, and then maybe keep the part-time at what we have now at 33.
That was your good budget.
Yeah.
We still have seasonal people that come in, flaggers and such. So, and they have been high school and college kids that do some mowing for us with cemeteries. Flagging, it is cheaper to train and use your own flaggers than it is to hire a flagging company when you can find them. Because they get in excess of $25 an hour per man. They'll only send you 3 so that they have breaks all across the day. And if you tell them that you will stop and take a break with the rest of the crew, it doesn't matter. You get 3 or you don't get any.
Is that like a temp agency or just like
I wish somebody would put up.
Silencer on that thing. No, that heat exchanger. I am struggling. Getting old. Humor me.
That's all right. It wasn't really, no.
Anytime we're in here,
And I've noticed it before, when this thing is on,
Hopefully it'll
I have-
change a little bit when we get the sound stuff.
That's why this is in front of you, so you can reuse it.
Exactly.
sorry.
I have a microphone anxiety. I think I'm loud.
Questions?
So right now, we'll leave that in there. Now, with that position, will that get us back to a full complement of employees that you had in the past? Or would that add an additional employee?
No. At one point in time,
there was 8 full-time guys.
Okay, all right, that's what I was getting at. So with that position in there, how many would that give us full-time?
That brings us back to that.
That would get us back to.
So right now, we're looking at, the only changes you really want to make to what was presented to us tonight is the addition of the extra $1,000 for the heating and oil for propane, right? Everything else is pretty much the same.
5,000 increase in services, 1,000 in
It's
the
already,
heating line.
Yeah, I already got the 30 in there for the,
it's already, it's 5,000, so it's at
You've got it.
30,000 now, you want to do 35?
All right. Yeah, I don't have that sheet. I got no.
You didn't print the one I sent you today?
You're gonna sit in that office all day, wait for your read it?
I don't know, when I came in today, you were just sitting in his office.
Yeah, I don't know. I can elaborate on that for you.
Yeah, we already have 5,000 already written in.
What?
5,000 is already written in for services.
Yeah, that's what he's done.
So I would make a motion, we tentatively approve 1501 for $850,004.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of tentative approval for $850,004 for 1501? You, oh, all right. All approval except for one abstention. All right.
What do you want next? I do have some numbers for the transfer station that we talked about before.
Yeah, I want to hold off on those for next 2 weeks from now.
It's gonna snow that night.
If you want to throw it out at, me, you can do that at the end, but I don't go through the rest of the road.
Okay.
Road projects, you want equipment?
Well, let's go with the road projects.
I gave them, what I did is I gave them in their packet, just the road projects that were up this year.
For this,
Yeah. And then I gave them the complete road inventory sheet.
they have the inventory sheets, okay.
Yeah, we have a road inventory.
These are the packets that I gave them.
Yeah, now he gives it to you, right? I was looking at that and it looks like most of with the exception of Proctor Road, everything else seems to be along the Limerick Road for the high to,
Truck road was actually done.
oh, that's done.
This year, what you're looking at is Limerick Road, what we call Section 2, which is the main turnpike to the new road. The Brimstone Road, we've actually flip-flopped. Brimstone Road with River Road, Section 1, which is starting at the Kennebunkport line and going to Durrell's Bridge, solely because of the condition they're in. Brimstone Road is getting to the point where it's hard to maintain as far as plowing. I understand all of these projects are kind of weighted towards traffic and what brings the road up to the top as opposed to somewhere in the middle of the line. And it's one of the heaviest factors on that is the amount of traffic the road gets. But it gets to a certain point, like the Brimstone Road, where you spend 3 times more to patch it, which is a Band-Aid, than it does to do an overlay. So with that in mind, that's why we switched River Road, Section 1, which is on for next year now, with Brimstone Road. So if anybody has the whole package, you can see that originally that was flipped. Center Road, Log Cabin, the Golf Brook, we had to shim that a couple of years ago just to get it to this point. That one has to kind of get done. These last two, depending on what paving prices come in. Last year, we negotiated a price with Dayton. They wanted $74 a ton. And we hashed it out with them and said, look, we don't want to go to bid, but we don't like your price. Will you negotiate? And they did. They went down to 72 for the price per ton. I don't see that happening again this year. Not with fuel prices.
You think you'll come in, if you're a good chance to come in higher than 75 a ton?
I hope they don't. I think they can probably do it for 75 a ton. Again, we normally talk to them in the spring to get an idea. And any contract you negotiate with anyone now has an escalator in it. So that if the liquid asphalt price is up, you're going to pay, when that job is done, you're going to pay current prices. And there's not much you can do about it. No one will sign a contract with you without an escalator in it. Dayton has been very good to work with. I believe we have one more year with the option to negotiate with them. So when it comes time, we'll see what we can do. I think this price should hold.
So we've been consistently the last 3 years at 425, this year you want to go to 507?
Well, again, I have been,
Past few years, you've been over that.
in 2017, we were at
400,000.
452, the following year, 517. That's not what we got. And when that happens, Clearview and Maplewood did not get paid in that year. 2019, our sidewalk didn't get done. Our intersection is still not done. You can thank Spectrum for that. The pole's still there with the wire still attached. They're the next ones in line. I still believe we could do that intersection the way it was set up in-house, and we've still got some money in reserve to do that. to do the intersection of Brimstone and Limerick Road, to redo it. Right now, right in the middle of that triangle is still the remaining pole with phone and cable TV on it.
How's that scheduled for this year?
It was actually scheduled for this current budget year. And obviously,
Brimstone Road, if you were going to take care of that.
yeah, that was the idea of tying it in. In the meantime, to do Brimstone Road, we just stay back 100 feet from that intersection and go with it. The worst part of that is through the wooded section up there. So we had somebody go in late this fall and shim it just to get it through the winter, so it would survive. Patch is double the price of paving right now, and that's dumped in your truck. Paving prices are $72 a ton in place. Patch is $125 dumped in your truck. We always figured it costs you triple that to get it in place, and you're putting a Band-Aid on something. We've been fairly lucky, we don't patch a lot for that reason. It is a Band-Aid. Anyway, if prices do go up a little bit, we could still get the main roads done. Those two developments that we had in there, obviously would not. You go back into the pool and come onto the list again, somewhere along the line in priority. But because they're not a major through road, these development ones, in the past, they've just been in limbo. We've upgraded some the last few years. We're catching up a little bit. I see within the next 3 or 4 years that we can actually be in really good shape overall, not where we were 5 or 6 years ago, because we were getting so many more feet of road done per year because of the prices.
So you're looking for $526,000, right?
And if we don't get that, you start at the bottom of the list and you start chopping. I understand that you've held that 4.25 to 450 range for the last few years. If that's what it is, that's what it is. I understand. I pay taxes too.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was just asking a question, like, you know,
Yep.
making an argument one way or another, we want to make sure we have the right numbers. So Roger, if you have money left over, if we just made it even 500, if you covered it, if you need that 7,000.
Right now, we have, what, about 100,000 left in the, road budget?
I don't believe you have that.
Okay,
The last I saw was like 56 grand,
okay.
which would be enough to do that intersection. Easily.
Well, I mean, I say at least, that's why we're technically approving this, right? I say, we go with this number, obviously, when we get to the very end, we're gonna look at John and say, all right, John, we're out. Where do we need to cut back?
It's the same every year, I understand that.
Yeah. So, I mean, at this point, I would make a motion that we tentatively approve, road construction 2001, for a sum of $226,000.
Second.
That was 507. Got a motion made and seconded for 507, 226 for 2001 road construction. All those in favor? All opposed? There's always got to be that one.
Well, we're talking
That's all
about
right.
roads, you have multiple roads right now that are in 75 to or more percent complete. Being Hissong's development, Bartlett's Farms, that's 75% complete right now. Conifer Way, which is White Pine subdivision off Old Post Road, is 90% complete. There's one lot left in there. There's another development going in off South Skillings Road, Oak Ridge Terrace. Most of the lots have been sold in that already. At some point in time, somebody's gonna stand up and say, Or it's gonna cost you a lot more money. Because if you get all those, you can't keep this department the size it is. It would have to get bigger to take care of it. Somebody's gotta make a statement somewhere along the line. And there are others as well that are in early construction. There's another one that's built on Old Post Road next door to him. For whatever reason, the head of the association or whatever dropped the ball. They were gonna push that and get it approved, and they never have. It was built, the town inspected, final inspection, everything was done. All it would take is a petition from those folks to come in, and you'd have to make them bring it up to standard, any damages or anything that's done to it, to get it in real good shape. It's got a few minor things. But this is what you're looking at. This is coming. Some of it's here, it's not coming.
There's a bunch of new developments that right now is still.
What are you gonna tell this?
Association, and we're gonna own it at some point in time.
So you gotta think it's gonna be manpower, equipment, and plus maintenance on all these roads.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to think about.
There's 4 cul-de-sacs alone in Bartlett's Farms. I don't know if anybody's been through there. First time I drove through there, I thought I was gonna get lost. That is now complete out to Liberty Acres.
And building the new house right on that strip right there.
Yes, they are. There's 3 lots. I just went and numbered. So it's something to think about. That will change a couple of plow routes. That'll add probably at least 1 more truck.
And manpower. You'd have to go hire
Yeah.
one more guy.
Has this one ever made any comments about, petitioning for?
Oh, yeah, he has.
Yeah, but I was kind of figuring, when is he gonna do that? And he's almost, I think they're more than 75 complete now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have a whole many lots left in there, and I would imagine that's gonna come to us at some point, right?
Yeah. The only thing they've got to do is 1 cul-de-sac at the opposite end of Les Isle Lane from you. The rest of it is already paved.
Just think down the road, 10 or 15 years, when you have to go in and repave that, what that's gonna cost you.
Oh, I know. Well, the good thing is, it's not a heavily, hopefully, it won't be a very heavily traveled road, but still, this is why, there's no be, 49 houses in there altogether.
I think there was 44 total in the whole complex.
Has the county considered, like, I know for a while it's been talked about, and it hasn't been, but I'm wondering if you've ever reconsidered as the board of doing an ordinance to do impact fees.
Yeah,
We
we
saw
started
that.
that a number of years ago, and
Yeah, because I
people were
mean,
not interested in doing that. But yeah, impact fees should have been.
yeah, because I mean, if we're gonna have to add equipment and all that.
Oh, yeah.
If Bartlett Farm said pay impact fees, you might be able to gotten the truck out of
Correct.
the impact fees, you know?
Yeah, we got a lot of pushback from developers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it definitely was talked about a couple of times. I know one time, on the planning board, we talked about it, and then we talked about it.
Like something to talk about again now, you know?
Well, the other element of the rule is whether the town wants to consider not taking these roads in the future.
We don't have a choice if they vote a petition and it gets voted at the town meeting.
Correct.
We're stuck with it.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
But oftentimes, if the municipality sort of makes that determination early on, at least the developers know that they got a heavy road to hoe in terms of getting it approved. But I'm not sure if we're there or not. But I mean, when you hear these gentlemen talk about, the impact it's going to have on the department, the crews, and the equipment, it toss around.
And I agree with Simone, I think it's time to maybe look at it again, and after X amount of houses, if the development is, 2, 3, 4, 5 houses, so be it, but if it, I'm taking numbers here, but, 10, 15 houses, then there should be a little bit of impact. Because again, we're, it's gonna be on us, the taxpayers, right?
A couple of these small ones came in, you could absorb those than what we have now. That one alone, no.
I don't know that we
And the
can
one
do
on
it.
South Carolina, that looks like that's a pretty big size.
There's a phase 2 to that as well. So
You know, when the local
couple towns do that already, like Kennebunkport, I thought I saw something like that a few years ago.
Oh,
Where
in
it's-
that piece?
Yeah, something like that.
Everybody but us.
Contribute, I don't know what they called it, but they contribute, the developers.
Yeah, run any town to do it.
Yeah, okay.
Town, city.
So it's not a precedent, we could just say,
Yeah. Well, the numbers that we tentatively approved the last couple of weeks, and making a few assumptions, we've already added $1 to the mill rate.
Yeah, that's on last year's value, don't know what our new value.
Well, that's assuming we get 7.5 million in new value, which I think is probably a little conservative.
I think it is too.
So I think that might come down a bit, but right now we're looking at a 6% increase, which amounts to, if that, and of course, we still got to do the rec budget and God knows what else, we're not done yet. There's a school job, sorry, that's school. Schools, last time we met, we're estimating about a 5% increase. So here, that's a grand figure. I did send an email over to Greg Zimza this morning, so we've got a feel for what the county budget is looking like. I haven't heard that from him yet. But that obviously wouldn't have any impact on something like the school budget has.
While Roger's here, I think he wants to chat, we still got capital equipment, right?
Correct.
And then, before he leaves, I think he wants to talk a little bit about, transfer station. We're still working on the budget. As I indicated before, we're still looking at, getting a number for curbside pickup. Because we're locked into a contract with Casella Pine Tree Waste right now, I think that we're gonna most likely delay any curbside pickup budget until after the contract is close to expiration. So, we'll wait a bit on that, but they're working the numbers now. They got from us, public roads, routes, they're analyzing route detail, how many times they have to pick up during the week, when they pick up trash, when they pick up recycling. And so they'll give us a budget number on that, so at least we have it, but,
The curbside would include trash and recycling.
yeah, that's what I was thinking. You folks had asked initially to try to get a number on it, so we'll keep working on it. But right now, we're linked to a contract with Casella for operation of the transfer station as it presently exists, I think for another 2 years. So we got some time to flush out that number and see what's going to be.
And there's like an extra building. I talked to the guy, it's like,
No, it's the curbside.
the whole recycling. He said he'd signed the first contract. I thought we had about 45,000, 600 miles of road. He said he'd signed his first contract for 150.
150,000 to pick up the whole road, the whole town?
Pick up the town. No recycling.
No recycling. So he was taking all his trash.
I guess. I didn't get into detail.
Okay.
I just wanted the number to throw out.
Yeah, if you, give his name and telephone number or contact information, I can reach out and maybe get some numbers. Thank you.
All right, Roger. Oh.
When you're looking at the transfer station, are you looking at, any type of paper bag when it comes out, or is it usually, just plain?
We haven't discussed that at all. Right now, we have a contract. The contract specifies the punch card system right now.
Right.
We would have to, again, approach Casella if they wanted to go to a paper bag system. That's something that we wanted to do. For me, I think it makes some pretty good sense, but, I think we eliminate a lot of the problems that we have, from time to time up there, so. But, yeah, it's still,
With a paper bag as opposed to regular phone calls.
yeah,
Because then you buy special bags. And you still have to buy your regular bags because you can't put anything in special bags.
Yeah, I know.
And the only thing that'll do is keep you from having to weigh that. And if you had some people there that
I know,
had
I know,
just
like
the
curbside
little.
pickup, you know, like if you were doing curbside pickup for it. You had to have all this stuff.
right, what they do is they would do a fully automated curbside pickup. We would have to purchase it. What they do is they'd be looking for at least a 5 to 8 year contract. They would be looking, because then we would have to initially buy all the containers, and every resident would get a container from us. That container would be specifically designed so the truck can pick it up. And that's how it would be, similar to what you see in, I think Kennebunk does that as well. So that's the system that they're looking at proposing to us when the time comes. Yeah, so there wouldn't be any bags per se, it'd be the containers.
Yeah, take a look at it.
It's fun in a snowstorm too.
Okay, Roger, capital reserve.
We were banging some numbers together and I told Keith that we would revisit what we had as far as vehicles, replacement schedules and all that. And we're proposing to bump one of the replacements back at least, unit 4. Putting that back another 2 years.
To 2024
Yep.
instead of 2022.
Correct.
What unit number is that?
4.
Unit number 4.
Or it's a 98, Ford.
That does bring one of the 550s forward a year, or 2 actually, to 2023. That's the oldest 550 that we have right now. But again, this is actually a little better setup. We talked to the guy from Freightliner today. That's who was the bidder on our VW grant money that we got, which is too bad those don't come by every day because that was a great deal for the town of Rundle. $170,000 truck for 35 grand to us. It's well set up, does everything we need it to. But anyway, we were talking to him about something that may come in on a lease. So the mechanic was asking him about an oil truck or something like that, and he said, believe it or not, those are one of the worst ones that come in because those tanks are sitting on the top of a piece of usually oak, sitting on top of the frame rail. And when those things come in and they pull the tanks off them, the frames aren't really good on them. So that kind of eliminates that idea we had for a replacement for this truck 4. It still doesn't take away the fact that you could go to Keenan's auction and probably pick up something that came off the turnpike, which is usually fairly well maintained for cheap money. So that kind of bumps one up a little bit, one back some. One of the first vehicles, the frontline truck, unit 1 has a back, and that's starting to have some frame issues. It's a double frame, and sand and salt gets in between the frames and starts popping rivets out. Pretty soon it ain't legal to be on the road. But we got some prices to do some work on that, which was surprisingly cheaper than I thought it would be. And
Yeah, because that's set for replacement in 2028.
it's gonna have to have something done.
It's gonna last a little longer.
Oh, yeah.
That's his way to go, in case you hadn't. But anyway, we can fix that truck probably within a year or 2 for somewhere in the $50,000 to $20,000 range. Because it would be the back section of the frame from the cab back. It would still end up with a double frame truck, but we've gotten 15 years out of that so far, and that would add 15 to it. So it's not really changing our numbers around too much. As long as you guys commit to continue to fund this capital equipment account at about 100,000 a year, that will put us in really good shape. We are head and shoulders above where we were just a few years ago with what we've done. So there's no major surprises. I don't know if everybody's up to speed on this mower thing. That was one of the better deals that's come along. We still got to work on the finance part of it, I guess. And get rid of what is called the trackless. It's a snow blower, and we use it to mow with in the summertime. And that will be a good day when that goes down the other road, going the other way, because it is expensive to maintain.
Still feel we can get some decent money for that. That's gonna go to auction, right?
Probably going to Keenan's. In talking with the guy, the rep from HP Fairfield, he said, I can't give you what that's worth. They would have to, if it's worth 10 grand, he's gonna offer you 5 for it on a trade-in. He didn't want to even really consider it because he figured it'd been too much of an insult. So ship it to Keenan's and you could probably get upwards of 10. You might even get double that possibly. But that is a specialty machine that probably a municipality would want.
Certainly expect to get more there than we would.
We've done well. We sent a truck there and got double what I thought it was worth. Sometimes at these auctions, people go to these auctions and part of the game is in the bid, I think. They don't realize what they've got till they get home.
Good for us.
Exactly.
Roger. Do you have any more of these? We have two ladies down here, we don't have a copy of that. I'll get three ladies.
Absolutely. Want to make more?
Nope.
Again, if you look at, starting on the top of that list, that number one, which was the one we were just talking about, extending that 2028 by probably at least as long as he's here.
2029.
And bumping unit 3 to 2023 and unit 4 to 2024. The rest is pretty much self-explanatory. Equipment-wise, there's some of this stuff in here that we bought from surplus. Half the fleet is still surplus. And when it's time to go, it goes. We got rid of a few this past year, and we got a whopping $75 for each of them. It's about what you'd have got across the scale at AMI as well, so. Usually when we're done with them, they're pretty well done.
What's, unit 11?
Unit 11 is our old loader. In theory, that has been replaced. We have bought a cab for that because we kept it, we didn't trade it in. We bought a used cab for that. We're gonna rehab it this spring and expect to get another 10 years probably out of that. That was the weak point in that particular one. And I thought it was a patch here and a patch there, and it turns out that it was into the ropes part of it, the rollover protection. So we bought a used cab out of Texas. It just got primed today, and this spring when we can tie that up, we're gonna change that out. Both of those loaders and that Bobcat, when it snows, come here, and this is how we do this parking lot. Without them, this is not a plow job. This is a removal job.
Yeah.
You can sell it back to Texas right now.
I bet you could.
I need it.
With the body.
Yeah, 9, we were looking at rebodying a truck in 2022. Again, that truck is an older truck. It's not going anywhere for quite a while. It's got a lot of service left in it. Truck 1 has got 40 some odd thousand, 44,000, something like that.
Yeah.
This other one's got like 33,000 on it, the one that we rebodied. And that would extend that easily into that replacement year, 2030 and beyond. A lot of this other stuff down towards the tail end of the list, with the exception of, obviously, the excavator is there. That is still in real good shape. Ours are not bad at all. That's gonna last a long time. We are in good shape overall.
So the bottom line is that we're going to continue to ask for $100,000 this upcoming budget cycle. So that number won't change.
The transfer station, we replaced a compactor a year too late, 2 years ago. And that was a struggle. We have another one, there's two compactors up there. This second compactor only runs for the recycling aspect of it right now. It is starting to give us some issues, it's warm. I think the first one was put in when the station was built in 91, this other one went in, refresh my memory. It's 10 years newer than that. But when that other one started to mess up, we switched and put trash in that one and ran it. When we were running the place ourselves, we would run one till it shut down, switch over to the other one so that we weren't hauling light loads. They're doing it a little different now, but this thing is messing up. When we replaced the first one, we had $17,300 in it. That price right now will buy you a refurbished one. But a new one is about 30 grand. This is just the compactor we're talking about. Being steel prices being what they are, that would eliminate one of the problems you have up there is you only have single phase power. This one, we replaced it, we put a phase converter in, run a 3-phase motor. Those things run a lot better, more efficient. But those phase converters mess up when they go, they're 5 grand. The second compactor, the one that's getting tired, is a 10-horse single phase. The motor's been redone several times, fast as going, because they start up so high. So the proposal would be to replace that compactor with another 3-phase motor setup with a phase converter.
Similar to what we have with the other one?
Basically the same idea, not the same company. They don't use them anymore.
Well, they don't.
They made such a name for themselves now. But anyway, you can buy a rehab one, and he said for all intents and purposes, 15 grand, you've got a almost new machine. It would be worth a shot as opposed to spending double that for brand new, for compacting. There's one of the cans up there, one of the compactor cans that Terry and I looked at. We can drag that into the shop, do a little patch and welding on it, and get it by in a couple more years out of it. The cans up there are by and large pretty good shape. The building itself has had some work on it. So I don't see any major expenditures up there, but that compactor is, again, we waited a year too long for the last one. Depending on where you are budget-wise.
So your thought is to replace it this year?
Yeah, because we replaced the last one in the middle of the year.
Correct.
We had,
Do you have any rough idea what that final number is for what you want with the transfer station right now?
No.
Okay.
Now, next 2 weeks, we'll have a better understanding of that. I'd have the, I can build in the contract, the Casella's contract number. Then I have to look at the landfill monitoring program that we have, and what kind of dollars we're going to have associated with that. John Hesko will put that together for us. We have another house out there that's now occupied again, which we have to test it for. So that testing started this year on it. So there'll be a slight increase there on testing and monitoring of the landfill. And then whatever else we have that we can think of, as they alluded to tonight, perhaps the compactor, repair of the can.
Where are we with what we talked about a while back about separating the demo part of that and putting it in another location up there? Because.
Well, that was the other thing we talked about. And, you know, we found a location, we just have to get an engineer there to look at it and give us a cost for that, so. There's still some balls in the air in terms of the transfer station this time.
I was gonna say, there's a little maintenance gonna have to be done up there too. That man door out front needs to be replaced. That's been backed into, it's been ripped off the hinges, so that needs to be replaced. There's some other small stuff up there that needs to be done.
We'll have a better idea of the total one, perhaps in a couple of weeks when we present that to you.
We leased up there last year with the can. We leased something for transportation.
We had a lease purchase agreement with the compactor, we paid it off.
Yeah, there was no equipment leases or anything up there.
Yeah, we paid it, we didn't want to hold it or anything, so we paid it.
I think we're gonna have to work with Pine Tree some in the operation part of it, and be willing maybe to split that demo part of it some. They're gonna step up to the plate with quality help. That is a circus up there. I'll propose for a minute to take it back home. Yeah. But it's a show. And if anybody's been up there, I don't have to elaborate too much, you know.
I go up every Wednesday late morning, in and out and out.
Half the time, they don't even weigh it, they just, they complain they're not making any money.
If I back up, over there.
Sometimes they find, sometimes they don't.
We have two scales there.
I don't even put it on the scale.
You know, and then, you know, the reality of it all, folks, is that the company's losing money.
Yeah.
Sooner or later, they're gonna say, we're not gonna lose any more money, and you can have it back.
Well, I don't know how you solve that, other than express to them their personnel not doing what they've been asked to do, which we've done on numerous occasions. And we'll continue to do so, but I
I'm
think
not
Roger.
complaining about it, I mean, I think even if they wait, I still think it's a good deal.
Right now, it's a good deal, yeah.
The point is, sooner or later, it's not gonna be.
What's that?
I said, the point is, sooner or later, it's not gonna be. Because they're gonna realize they could be making as opposed to what they are making, and there's gonna be some increases, or they're just gonna walk away.
Well, we got a couple more years in the contract, so I'm hoping that they're gonna honor the contract. I think they will.
As long as everybody knows what we're up against. Yeah, there's a saying that goes with that, but.
All right.
That's it.
Anything else?
Lots, but we.
Only takes money, right, Roger?
No, I don't know what it takes. We don't need too many more days like today.
Well, at least you guys got mostly rain down here for this last one.
In places in town was radically different because from probably the middle of town, got a lot more ice for some reason than even the furthest end of town. And the lower end, you know, anywhere near as much. But ice is the most expensive and biggest pain to deal with.
Well, we had, up in Cornish, we had 4 inches of sleet.
But you can probably, freezing rain, we just can't do much of anything with.
No, it's like trying to plow sand. It's just,
We were lucky we dodged a major bullet for that storm.
So I propose that in 2 weeks, we'll meet again on Wednesday. We'll take up transfer station, general systems, and finish up with recreation. And that'll give you a clear picture of all the budgets at that point. I still got information coming in on the miscellaneous account, social service agencies. So I'm holding off on that till I get it all.
John, when you ran the numbers, what did you run for increase for valuation?
I ran 7.5 million, which is just about half of what we actually had for last year. So I'm guessing that the valuation will probably go up more than that, which will bring the projected mill rate down some. But I didn't want to go throwing another 15 million for this year.
I know the state has us, this past year has us up to 522 million. And last year, where we were, at 478, when we set the mill rate,
Last year,
or was it 492?
last year, I think we were 471 million.
And they got us at 522. So, and that's what they set all our school funding on, so, but that's not our rate from our tax assessor, so I'll chat with her a little bit more about that.
Well, where does the state get that number from?
That's, they do an analysis, and then they come up with 100% valuation that they anticipate that will be at. We're not at 100.
In other words, they pull it up their ass.
But I think that Sean's probably closer if they go like this.
Keith, there'll be a forum next week if Jack and I are both in it.
I think so.
Next to it, if you want to say.
Yeah.
Slackers.
Well, we'll have Zoom, so you can always share your.
I'll
thoughts.
be, I mean, I can come afterwards, but it's over at 7:30.
Okay. All right.
Keith, just a little different topic. What's the time frame on getting something done with the acoustics in here? Between everybody wearing masks and one thing and another, even with the microphones.
Well,
Quite frankly,
you gotta put the microphones on, guys, and you gotta use them. But yeah, I'm as frustrated as everybody else in terms of that, but they will be here on Monday. The architect, the general contractor, they're bringing in samples, we're gonna look at the building again, look at the room. They threw out another proposal about taking down this acoustic that they overpainted and putting something else in its place. So we'll have that chat on Monday, so hopefully I'll share more with the board that night.
Yeah, the acoustic panel that they painted over doesn't work as well when it's painted over.
No, not when they put 4 or 5 coats to it, doesn't work.
Yeah, motion to adjourn.
I struggled.
Oh, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second, 8:48.
All those in favor of adjourning for this evening? All those that don't can stay here? Thank you very much, everyone.
Just put it right against the wall and just shut up.
Great. If you could ever get me into a restaurant, you could sit across the table